I hope this tastes good. This is not a good matcha. Ay. You know what I've learned as I've gotten older? I don't need to tell everybody what's happening in my life. And I think this is one of the biggest things I've learned in my 40s. There was a time when I used to feel like I had to explain myself. If I was excited about something, I wanted to tell someone. If I was planning something, I wanted to share it. If I was struggling with something, I wanted to talk about it. And if I had a new goal, a new idea, or something that I was hoping to accomplish, I felt like I needed to tell the people around me because I thought that's what you do when you have friends, when you have family, when you have coworkers that you trust. But the older I get, the more I realize that privacy is not secrecy. And keeping certain things to myself doesn't mean I'm hiding anything. It simply means I've learned that not everybody needs access to every part of my life. I think social media has made this even harder because we are living in a generation where we're constantly encouraged to share everything. What we're eating, where we're going, who we're with, what we're buying, what we're working on, what we're feeling, what we're planning, what we're manifesting. Even our goals sometimes become content before they even become reality. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with sharing your life. I share parts of mine too. Obviously, I'm literally sitting here talking to you about my life. But there's a difference between sharing your life and giving people unrestricted access to your life. I think that's something I've become much more conscious of as I've gotten older. There are things that I don't talk about anymore until they're already happening. There are goals that I don't announce. There are plans that I don't have to explain. There are decisions that I make quietly. Sometimes people might think you're being secretive or that you have changed. And maybe I have changed. But I think I've changed in a good way. Because I realized that sometimes when you tell people what you are planning to do, you end up inviting their opinions into something that wasn't asking for an opinion in the first place. You tell someone, I'm thinking about quitting my job. And all of a sudden, you have 10 different opinions. Are you sure? But what are you going to do after? Isn't that risky? Maybe you should just stay. I wouldn't do that if I were you. And now you are sitting there with an idea that made you excited yesterday, but today you're questioning whether you're even capable of doing it. And sometimes the person giving you that advice isn't trying to hurt you. They might genuinely care about you. They might be trying to just protect you. But sometimes they are speaking from their own fears, their own experiences, their own limitations, and their own idea of what is possible for them. And that's another thing that I've learned. Not everyone who gives you advice knows where you're trying to go. So sometimes you have to be careful about who you allow into the planning stage of your life because everybody loves the finished product. People will celebrate you when you succeed or once you succeeded. They'll congratulate you when you finally get the job, when you launch the business, when you move somewhere new, when you finally accomplish something you've been working on. But the messy middle, that's different. The part where you're still figuring things out, the part where you don't know if it's going to work, the part where you are trying and failing and trying again, the part where you're waking up early, staying up late, saving money, learning something new, changing your habits, questioning yourself in every decisions you make. That's the part I think you should protect. Not because you should be afraid of people, but because some things grow better when they're not constantly being examined by everyone else. Think about a seed, right? You don't dig it up every morning to check if it's growing. Yes, Makes sense, right? You simply leave it alone. You water it, you give it sunlight, you take care of it, and eventually something comes out of the ground. I think our goals can be like that too. Sometimes you just need to work quietly. I don't necessarily need a whole group of people knowing what I'm doing. I don't need 10 people cheering me on every morning. I don't need somebody asking me, "So, how's that thing going?" every 3 days. Sometimes I just want to disappear into my little corner, again, drink my matcha, read my book, maybe work on whatever I'm working on, figure things out, and then come back when I actually have something to say. And this could be a small or big projects, it doesn't matter. If it's something that you treasure, if it's something that's very valuable to you, that you don't want other people to destroy, it doesn't really matter whether it's just a small or a big goal. And by simply learning how to do that, you become less interested by being understood by everybody. When I was younger, I cared so much about what people thought. I cared if people understood my decision. I cared if somebody misunderstood me. I cared if somebody thought I was making the wrong choices in life. Now, I'm like, okay, you don't understand? That's okay. Cool. You don't have to. Because I'm the one who has to live my life anyway. I'm the one who has to wake up with my decisions. I'm the one who has to deal with the consequences. So why am I giving everybody else a vote? Right? And I think this is where privacy becomes really powerful, because when you stop explaining everything, you start realizing how much energy you were spending trying to make other people understand you. You don't have to announce every boundary, every friendship that ended. You don't have to tell everybody why you're single. You don't have to explain why you enjoy living alone, why you don't go out every weekend. You don't have to tell your coworkers about every personal problem you're dealing with. You don't have to tell your family every single goal that you're working on. And you definitely don't have to tell everybody what your next move is. Some things can just belong to you. And honestly, I think that's the beauty of it. Your private life can become such a beautiful little world. Your home, your library, your books, your routines, your little projects, your financial goals, your personal growth, your plans for the future, your quiet weekends, the things you're learning, the things you're healing from. You don't have to turn every single one of those things into public information. And I think another reason why privacy becomes important as we get older is because we start noticing that not everybody is genuinely happy for us, right? And I don't mean that in a bitter way. I'm not saying everybody is secretly jealous of you. That's not what I'm saying. But let's just be honest. Sometimes people will support you as long as your success does not make them uncomfortable. They'll cheer for you, they'll tell you, "I'm so happy for you." But when you start doing better than they expected, something changes. Maybe they become quieter, maybe they suddenly have something negative to say, maybe they start comparing. Sometimes you don't even need to confront them about it. You just simply notice it, the change in the air. And when you notice enough things, you learn. You learn who you can talk to about certain things. You learn who you can celebrate with. You learn who you can cry with. You learn who you can ask for advice. And you learn who you should probably just have coffee with and talk about the weather. Like I said, not everybody needs the same level of access to you. I think we sometimes believe that if somebody is our friend, they need to know everything about us. No, not anymore. Mature friendships, mature relationships with your family, with your relatives, with your coworkers is a different level of relationship. You can love someone and still have privacy. You can have friends and still have boundaries. You can be close to your family and your relatives and still keep certain things to yourself. You can work with people for 10 years and they still don't need to know everything happening in your personal life, especially at work. I've learned this the hard way. Your coworkers can be lovely people. You can laugh together, eat lunch together, you can complain about work together. You can genuinely like them. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's great. but they're still your co-workers, which means you don't need to give them the entire story of your life, because the workplace is not always the safest place to put every personal detail about yourself. And I'm not saying you have to be cold. I'm just saying that you be intentional. Know what you're sharing, who you're sharing it with, and why you're sharing it. Because sometimes we overshare simply because we want connection. And I understand that. Sometimes you tell someone something because you want someone to understand you, or you're becoming emotional when they ask how you are. And you start sharing things that you're not even planning to share in the first place. You want someone to say, "Oh my God, me too." Like, we want someone who feels the same way like us, because it's quite comforting. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that I don't need to tell somebody my entire story just to feel connected to them. And maybe that's another part of growing up. You simply stop confusing being known with being exposed. You can be deeply loved without everybody knowing every detail about you. You can be understood by a few people instead of explained to hundreds. And you can have a very full life without constantly documenting it. I actually think there's something really peaceful about having things that nobody knows about. Things like a goal that you've quietly working toward, or a place you're planning to visit, a book you're planning to read, a financial goal you're saving for, maybe a business idea you're building, a personal habit you're trying to change, and a version of yourself that you're slowly becoming. You don't have to announce it. Just do it. Let the results speak when they're ready. And if nothing happens, that's okay too. Because you didn't make a public promise to the world. So no one would question it. No one would tease you why you did not achieve any of it. You were simply trying something for yourself. And I think that's a much healthier way to live. Not everything needs to be posted. Not everything needs to be explained. Not everything needs to be announced. Some things can stay between me and the people I genuinely trust. And some things can stay between me and myself. Because privacy doesn't mean I'm hiding. It means I'm choosing. I'm choosing what people get to see. I'm choosing what people get to know. I'm choosing who gets access to my personal life. And most importantly, I'm choosing where my energy goes and what information I feel comfortable sharing. Maybe that's one of the quietest forms of confidence you can have as you get older. You stop needing everybody to know what you're doing. You stop needing everybody to approve. You stop needing everybody to understand. You just quietly work on yourself, take care of your life, protect your peace, do the things that you love, stay in your little cozy home, and keep going. And maybe people will wonder what you're doing. Let them wonder. They're probably just trying to know what your next move is. But you don't have to say anything. Because not everything beautiful needs an audience. Some things are meant to grow quietly. Less explaining, less proving, less oversharing. And we go to the other side of the boat where there's more living, more peace, more privacy, and more time becoming the person I actually want to be. So if you're also entering the stage of your life where you're realizing that not everybody needs to know everything about you, I hope you know that you're not being distant. You're not being antisocial. You're not being secretive. Maybe you're just finally learning the difference between having a life and giving everyone access to it. And for me, that's a lesson I'm still learning, but I think I'm getting better at it. Anyway, that's my little thought for today. I'm going to finish this matcha that is making me upset because it doesn't taste good. And I'm gonna go ahead and get ready for work and keep some of my plans to myself. Because apparently you don't have to tell everybody what you are building. You can just quietly build it. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye!